So I was so excited to find a nice Borla catback for the yellow GT. I love the Borla exhaust, and this one is a really nice set, and it even has an H pipe with it. If you start looking around at exhaust systems, they're actually pretty expensive, and I looked at the Borla, and I believe this is called the Borla Touring. I'm not sure if that's what it's called now anymore, but this is what the Borla Touring shows on their website, and it is pretty similar. The tips are a little different. They're angled different, which is kind of cool. I think the set I have is kind of the older look, which looks pretty cool. But if you go looking around at Borla exhausts, which are not the Stingers or the Attacks like the ones I have on my Cobra, I have the Stingers on both my Cobras. They're different, and these ones have a little bit more of a bass tone. My brother's father-in-law had a set like this on his 2000 white Mustang GT, and it sounded really good. But if you look at these now, it's like the price on these has gone up over $1,000 for a set of these. So very excited that I was able to get this for a good price from a guy who was willing to ship it as well. Shipping cost almost as much as the whole exhaust system for me, but it was worth it because I still got a great deal, and he also included H-pipe. So I needed that because the kid who had the car before me, when he parted it out, he took a Sawzall and he just hacked everything to pieces. He cut the exhaust on both sides of the flange, so the catback was unusable, and it was a Flowmaster anyway, which I don't prefer. And I've had those on two of my Mach 1s and my 98 Cobra, and I changed them all because three of my Mach 1s had the Flowmasters. I just don't prefer them, so that's pretty cool. So here's the whole kit. It looks kind of dirty. It's used, and that's okay because we're going to clean it up. Very excited to do this. Now, I wasn't going to go through with wet sanding and polishing the whole thing like I did the Cobra catback, because the Cobra catbacks that I have with the IRS, you see that so well when you're behind the car, but with a solid axle catback like this that goes up over the axle, you hardly see any of this piping. So I'll shine up the parts that you do see, but I will clean up the whole thing. And so I got it all straightened out and organized, and I just started cleaning it, and I had a few different things I wanted to do with it, mostly just clean it up. But I was really excited to get this set because my brother had looked for one of these when he was doing the exhaust on his white GT, and that was because he really liked how this exhaust sounded, this Borla Touring exhaust sounded on his father-in-law's white 2000 Mustang GT. And I really liked it a lot too, and that GT had a lot of nice little things done to it. It was a convertible, and it was fun to drive around, and it sounded really good. So my brother did buy a set of Borla Stingers from me that I had, and had them welded into his catback. And that's great, and that sounds fantastic, so I really like that as well. But when I found this, and I thought, wow, this is the kit my brother was even looking for, and it's a cool one that I've known about. And for me, I mostly love the Borla Stingers, SLP, Loudmouth 1s, and the MagnaFlow Magna Packs. And those are my top three favorites. And these are up there too. I like them a lot, and they're not very common. I haven't really seen many other cars with them, so it'll be fun to see how this goes and have the yellow GT have this with the H pipe. That'll sound good. So I just got to cleaning and stuff, and every time my wife either leaves or drives up in the silver GT, I have to record that. Back to business. It looks pretty dirty, and this is just normal use. I did have some bronze wool left over from the project when I polished the Borla exhaust on my Terminator Cobra, and so I used some of that. I sprayed it and got it wet, and then went back and forth with the medium and the fine, and you can see how dirty this was, but it started to come back really nicely. Now, this is a little aggressive. The tips were kind of dirty and kind of pitted and stuff just a little bit. So I probably wouldn't do the bronze and steel wool on the tips if you have really nice tips, but you know, you can wet sand them too. I did some 2000 on there too. But here's the mufflers just after being washed. They're still just kind of gross. And I did get a Scotch-Brite and water, and I just went through and did most of the normal piping with that just to get all the grime and all the junk off of that. So that definitely helped a lot. And you're only going to see a little bit of that through the wheel gap on the back axle. So some more with the other exhaust tip, and I think this is still the medium grade bronze wool, but it helped out a lot, made it look pretty good. So then I laid it all out, and I had to get my vise and hold one of the flanges and work on it. You'll see that in a second. I had some of this metal polish. I tried it out on the Borla mufflers. I thought they would be a lot shinier than this, but they were kind of dull looking, but it cleaned them up nicely. But yeah, this nut, I had this issue trying to get the hardware to line up nicely. Luckily, it was almost all there, so I put it in the vise, and then I got my impact and zipped that off, and that came off pretty nicely once I got the impact on there. And then I just kind of cleaned that up, and I went through all my hardware, and I have a whole bunch of different nuts and stuff that fit the stud very well, and just tried to get it to get on there and do it right. Now, sometimes you can put a nut on the stud and just run it back and forth, and it'll clean up the threads a little bit. So I tried that a little bit. And so I just wanted to make sure that I got all the hardware ready to go now. See, here's back and forth, just on and off, and that did it really well. But I want to get the hardware all squared away so that when it's time to bolt it on, it's all ready to go, and I'm not underneath the car trying to do this and figuring out that there's, you know, messed up bolts and nuts and stuff like that. So anyway, that's what I did. But I was very excited to get this, and it was really nice of the guy to ship this for me, because it was a lot of work for him to bundle it all up and stuff. And it has all the hangers on it and O2 sensors, so I think I'm in pretty good shape. So here's how it turned out. I think it looks really nice. I'm very, very happy and excited about this. And I was just looking forward to it. I watched it on the tracking, on the shipping and everything, and it cleaned up nice, and it's a very nice catback. So very, very happy about that. And that solves one of the last problems I have of getting things ready for the car to drop the engine in and have, you know, things that I have to buy for the car. There's only a couple little hoses and things that I need left. So I'm very excited, and I'm looking forward to this. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for the rest of this build, and stay tuned for more Mustang content.